Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. Here we're going to be talking about philosophy, disability, and media. And this week we're going to be starting with a little quick mini review of everyone's, well maybe not everyone's, but certainly my current favorite show, Wednesday. Now, if you haven't had the chance to enjoy this show, first of all, go off and enjoy it. It's really fun. But just in case you haven't had a chance to see it, basically season 1, Wednesday goes to Goth Hogwarts in America, gets involved in a mystery, saves the day, survives a love triangle that adheres to the plot of the TV show like a barnacle or perhaps a leech, and makes a really good friend, Enid, who's a werewolf, and basically like rocks this fake school to the ground that's called Evermore, that is very, very similar to Hogwarts. Don't get me wrong, the show is a ton of fun, but it is not without flaws, and in my opinion, especially in season 1, the writing can be a little bit weak. But so far with season 2, I feel like we've come in really strong, and so today I wanted to focus a little bit on the first episode of the second season, which is great fun. The main focus is we're coming back to Hogwarts, Nevermore, and sort of reuniting after the summer. Wednesday spent the summer capturing a serial killer and having a great time with her friend Thing, who's a little disembodied hand, and now she's back catching up with her best friend Enid the werewolf and kind of just landing in school. But of course everything's a bit chaotic and creepy and crazy because it is Nevermore and we're in a sort of high gothic fantasy situation. And we immediately find Wednesday has a stalker, and Enid's being a little frosty, and what we have happen is that Wednesday is starting to have visions of her good friend, Enid the werewolf, dying. Mysteriously, Wednesday has psychic visions, it's her superpower, and so we have this sense that something's about to go wrong, a kind of a sense of creeping doom throughout the first episode. Also, someone tries to burn Wednesday's novel, and I felt a lot of sympathy for her in this moment. She's very upset at this prospect, because she is 16 and she wrote a crappy novel over the summer. And I have to admit, when I was 16, I wrote a crappy novel, and I absolutely would have crawled into a on fire giant sculpture type thing to haul out my manuscript, which is what happened at the conclusion of the episode. Wednesday is essentially crawling through an on fire bonfire to retrieve her manuscript. But I feel you, kid. I understand, but I bet money that novel sucks so much. But it's impossible not to like Wednesday, at least to me. She's a very charming character, and a lot of that charm comes from a way in which she's portrayed as being certainly not neurotypical, and possibly a disabled person, possibly autistic. I've seen a lot of discourse online that suggests that you could easily read Wednesday as certainly not neurotypical, perhaps autistic, because of her struggles with social interactions and her hyper focus on her particular special interests, which tend to be excitingly gothic, like mysteries, taxidermy, and saving the day unexpectedly, apparently. So as a disabled person myself, I'm dyslexic and have some other learning disabilities. It's really nice to get even just a little bit of a hint of disability representation on such a big show. And as we go forward with the season, I'm looking forward to see how are they going to do with this disability theme that's a little bit subtly woven in here. Are we going to see some positive representation, perhaps some more explicit and clear disability representation? And how is that going to unfold as the season rolls on? So that's kind of encouraging. But the other thing I'm a bit of an expert in, mild expert I guess you could say, is philosophy. I'm a philosophy PhD student. So I was a little surprised when midway through the first episode, we get an interesting misquote of Machiavelli, the very well-known political theorist from Wednesday. I'm gonna play it for you and then we can have a little chat.
He holds out a pink unicorn plushie. Wednesday gingerly takes its horn with 2 fingers and shuts the door in his face.
Thanks for covering. I know the only thing you hate more than color is relationship drama. Machiavelli once said that friendship is watching a person's slow drip of miseries and feeling honored to be present for their most dismal moments. Does that mean? In 25 words or less. Go.
Okay, so here's the thing. He never said that. He probably never even thought that. Because I'm a huge nerd, I just reread the entirety of The Prince, his best-known work, which talks about statecraft and how one ought best to rule a country or a kingdom. And he definitely never has anything like that to say about friendship at any point. He does have some interesting quotes that I think Wednesday might quite like. He is very focused, not on morality, but on describing life as it actually is. And the main purpose of The Prince is it's a treatise describing how one can gain, hold, and retain power. Not saying that you should do that, just saying that's a possibility, that's a thing that people can do. We can arise to positions of power and then hold them. And here's how you might go about doing that. And it's packed full of strategies for how to be a competent ruler. Not necessarily a just, kind, or good ruler, but a competent ruler. And he really couldn't be less interested in teenaged friendship, sorry, Wednesday. But there were a lot of really good quotes she could have gone for if she was feeling like perhaps Enid would like to get some revenge on her soon-to-be ex-boyfriend. She could have said, "The injury that you do to a man should be such that he cannot be revenged upon you." See, this is something that Machiavelli does say in The Prince, and which I think Wednesday would really, really like. So this moment leaves me with a bit of a question, which is, what are we doing here? Why is Wednesday misquoting Machiavelli? Now, I think there's two possibilities. One character related and one just writing related. So the character approach here could be that, look, Wednesday's perhaps a little more conventionally bright than Enid. And I think she can safely assume that Enid has not read The Prince by Machiavelli. And so she's safe to kind of, couch her sentiment in the words of an author who's maybe well known for not being very sentimental, not being very kind of warm and touchy-feeling, and she knows that it's kind of awkward and vulnerable for her to admit that she cares about her friends, so she's like, just tell me what's going on with your stupid boyfriend. Machiavelli says it's fine, and Machiavelli's goth, and I'm goth, and everything's fine. So maybe that's what she's doing. And that's why she's maybe feeling it's okay to misquote the great master. I have to say, I worked as a teaching assistant, and if she was in my class and she did that, oh boy, would she get a B-. But, fair enough. Everybody's got to learn their own way. I think the other and perhaps more likely, possibility is this is a light show. It's fun. It's for everyone. I think it's particularly aimed at people who are a little older, who remember the earlier editions of the Addams Family in the 60s and the 90s, and I think also people who are a little bit younger, just kids. So we've got like a light show with a broad range of appeal, and the focus isn't accurately quoting Machiavelli for the 5 philosophers in the audience who are now twitching convulsively. That's just not what they're focused on. They're focused on fun and hijinks, and Machiavelli sounds like something Wednesday would like, so fair enough. But I think they're losing some opportunities here because Machiavelli is such a wonderful philosopher. And he is, I think, someone that Wednesday could actually turn to become a better strategist, a better person, and to understand humanity and people better. Because what Machiavelli actually really does in The Prince is talk about what it means to be a person in power. And what we have going on in season 2, at least so far, is we have a lot of complicated power struggles going on at not Hogwarts, the Goth edition. There's a new principal in town who is manipulating the students, trying to put them against each other. Wednesday's got her mom swooping around like a bat, and there's a lot of complex threads that we could be pulling together. And I think Wednesday as a person is really interested in power, getting it, retaining it, and using it. And if she were to read The Prince, she would find many, many strategies for actually getting and retaining power, and for understanding people and what motivates them. And that seems to be something that she struggles with. So in conclusion, I would say, Wednesday, read The Prince, and I will see you next Wednesday.